Dubrovnik's relationship with tourism has fluctuated over the years. Before 1991, this was a hugely popular destination for holidaymakers. But then, civil war broke out. Over 2,000 bombs fell on this old town, and amidst the devastation, its tourism industry collapsed. Today, the tourists have returned, but the city faces a new challenge: how to keep that magic alive under the footsteps of thousands of daily visitors. After the war, Dubrovnik was desperate to open its doors to visitors again, but did so with no regulation or planning in place. Souvenirs. Selfie. Souvenirs. I caught up with Marc Van Bloemen, who has lived here since 1972.
There's nothing here for the average person that's living here. They let them arrive to their will totally. So it happened in one day, 13 ships. And the mayoress then threw on the radio and pleaded for people not to go outside their houses. And it's like, what? So they're asking us not to go outdoors because there's so many tourists. I mean, we're living like in Disneyland. Every single square inch has to be used, has to be maximized. And when things get out of proportion, when a restaurant like over there has 110 tables, that's a bit out of proportion. We should lay out the conditions, and that's not happening. We're not heard at all.
Within the city walls, the population has decreased in recent years. This may be due to the rising demand for tourist apartments, but also the lack of amenities for local people.
Walking around Dubrovnik, you can almost start to feel a bit disillusioned that you can only buy souvenirs that have been mass-produced in China or somewhere far afield, and you can only buy drinks that are overpriced. But I've been reliably informed by some locals that just down here there is a souvenir shop where a guy named Igor hand makes these beautiful boats out of driftwood, and a couple of doors further up is this tiny little bar where the locals still actually go to have a drink.
Cafe bar opened in Dubrovnik in 1979. It's preserved. It's the same as the way it was in 1979, and it says here on the menu that it's because his owner is very cheap and doesn't want to change anything. But really an authentic one, and we love it to come here.
It is quite surprising that we're so close to the main road and that you do still have this kind of local bar tucked around the corner. Thank you. Hvala. See ya.
I think that people that are still living within the city walls won't leave ever.
Really?
Yeah, it is about emotion for sure. But you have to get your priorities straight, I don't care if I can't park my car in front of my house, It's not the most important thing in my life. After the war, everybody was happy to have tourists, and we were letting the tourism happen to us. There was no strategy, there was no vision how to deal with it, and there was no management. We don't manage the processes. The tourism is just like happening to Dubrovnik,
Yeah.
And we were embracing everybody, and we've come to the point that we can't cope with it. It's not about the number of tourists in Dubrovnik, and we can't blame the tourists. We have to blame ourselves for not trying to manage it more. We should try to make people understand that this is really not a museum, that actually real people live their real lives within the city walls. We are going to visit Igor's workshop. As he's an actor, he considers making of a boat as a stage where something is, being built or done or presented, So he actually likes when people come here and watch him work. If you want to collect a piece of, Dubrovnik memory, and you always remember that this is really from Dubrovnik, this is not from somewhere else, Because those t-shirts that are sold with sun and the sea, you just change the name of the city down there, Barcelona, Dubrovnik.
Florida.
Yes.
Wherever,
Nikolina seems to feel the council have started implementing some strategies to target a more sustainable approach to tourism.
So we're walking along this little side street, just stumbled across this hidden gem of a Christmas shop. My first question is, why is there a Christmas shop open in July? And my second question is, why are there people in there?
since 2013, when we had over 1 million cruise ship passengers in that year, things started to get better organized. So for this year, we will have less than 800,000 people from cruise ships. What I want for Dubrovnik in the future, to have a all year round season. And that is not only because of the tourists that we want to have more tourists. It is for the local people. It is for employment, that people will be employed all year round, and there will be no need to move somewhere else to look for a job. You want to visit real city and real people, and you want to experience that. And that must be the main strategic mission, just to have live city.
One of the main factors driving tourism in Dubrovnik is social media and the power of #Game of Thrones.
But it's not coming back. The captain's tired of risking his life so King's Landing lords and ladies can get drunk on better wine than they deserve.
15 years ago, when I started to work as a guide, I was begging people to come to Dubrovnik. And now I'm begging people to go somewhere else. We are organizing 18 tours a day.
18 tours a day?
10 history, like in different languages. 5 Game of Thrones and 3 history and facts, like movie ones and stuff.
Okay.
So like 8 tours a day, only connected to the Game of Thrones and all the movies connected.
So Game of Thrones is now the most popular tour.
The biggest one, yeah. I'm glad that it's more labeled as a Game of Thrones location than the war zone which was here in the 90s. When people were talking about Croatia, they've been saying, oh my God, it's not safe. That happened 25 years ago. As you can see, it's totally safe.
Do you think people should still be learning about the real history of Dubrovnik?
I offer them a real history, and it's easy to connect it through Game of Thrones.
The new management of cruise ship arrivals away from the old city does seem to have made it a bit quieter, but I'm hoping to find a more tranquil space on the small island of Lokrum.
So the reason we came to the Isle of Lokrum was to get away from the crowds, but it seems like quite a few other people might have had the same idea.
Our Benedictine monastery is ruined, you see that. And because of these pieces come down, you see that piece.
Yes. It's a lot
We
of work.
made a little bit of protection and not to close it at the moment. Many of our visitors are coming to island of Lokrum to experience quite a different environmental experience than it is within city of Dubrovnik. Nobody wants island Lokrum to be Copacabana.
Yeah.
It has to be natural protected area with the idea what is the limit of visitors per day, per month, per year. During the day we have like today island open for visitors from 9 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock in the evening, and that's it. After that we have just fire brigade and rangers on the island. One of our mission is for Croatian people, maybe tomorrow for European, is education of young people.
I'm glad Lokrum has Ivica looking out for it. This is a haven for both locals and tourists. I came to Dubrovnik 5 years ago and it was far more crowded. I can see the small changes that have been made to manage tourism are already having a positive impact. There are no huge cruise ships in the harbour and the streets are a lot easier to walk around. It's encouraging to see a hint of optimism from the locals about the future of this incredible walled city.